We got disc golf companies threatening former employees, and now they're saying if you associate with a certain company, they're going to kick you off the team. Josh left Lone Star Discs about 4 months ago, and for that time, he's been quiet about what happened at Lone Star and what made him leave. But now he's ready to talk. Josh, thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate you coming on and talking a little bit about your experience at Lone Star Discs and your new venture of Meridian Discs. Now, what made me want to reach out to you, now Shane actually reached out to you, but when Shane mentioned it, I had actually seen a tweet from you and I thought, oh, wow, yes, let's get him on the show. This is interesting. But I knew that there was some, I don't know if the term bad blood was a thing, but it felt like when it started happening, and we actually talked about it prior to this interview on our show, a little bit about it. But after I saw your tweets about threats from people from the company, I was like, I need to know a little bit more about it. Now, what I did was I posted a question, or at least I told the Cool Daddy Disc Golf Podcast Facebook group. I said, hey, I'm going to have Josh on the show. Give me your questions. So if you don't mind, let's first, just in case someone hasn't heard about you, Josh, tell us really quickly your elevator pitch of your disc golf story.
Yeah, so my name is Josh Hofstra. I have been in disc golf for the past 3.5 years, I believe. Maybe 4, I don't know. I lose count after the second year. I think everybody does. But I was a marketing and business development personality, face of a company for a couple different people, for a couple different brands, but most notably Lone Star Discs for the past 2.5 years. I was there since the beginning when they only had 300 likes on Instagram and 800 on Facebook. And I was able to project that company to 25,000 and 18,000 on Facebook and Instagram, respectively. So, yes.
If you're doing your shopping online for disc golf, make sure you check out DoorDisc.com. Shane Solomon with DoorDisc has everything you need in disc golf. Check them out, DoorDisc.com. If you have a store or you know of somebody that has a store and they need class discs in their store or they need a restock, have them check out CoolDaddyDiscGolf.com. CoolDaddyDiscGolf.com. There's a lot of questions, so if you don't mind, we're just going to jump right in and get into it, if that's okay.
Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So Tanner asks, now I didn't put these in any order. I just grabbed them as people were posting them. But Tanner asks, with being with Lone Star, what did you learn the most that helps you develop the new companies you're working with or for? Some people don't understand that you actually are Meridian Disc. You don't work for them. You are Meridian Disc, right? If we understand that correctly.
Yeah. So I'm a co-owner with Peyton Mansell of Big Country Beef Jerky. And he actually approached me after I'd already started Dropship Disc Golf, which is a media company, to start our own disc golf brand. He loved everything that I was trying to accomplish over at Lone Star, and he knew that I had a background in marketing. And he said, hey, here's an opportunity for us to really, prove to everybody what we have to offer and try to help elevate the sport of disc golf as a community as a whole. So those are two brands that I am the actual owner of. Really cool. It's an honor. Texas makes it really easy to apply for a business license, which is awesome. So that helped, obviously. But some of the things that I learned at Lone Star were management. I mean, I've been a big into the marketing and management sphere for a long time, but in other realms. So in the automotive world for the past 10 years, prior to my disc golf career, I was actually educating people on what I did for a living, which was automotive tuning for aftermarket vehicles. And I found that no matter where I went, as long as people were involved, I'd succeed, because people are my passion. And so when the opportunity arose to start Meridian with Peyton, who is another one of those people that I met along the way, it just made sense. Obviously, already having started Dropship, we kind of had to figure out how it was all going to work together, because Dropship and Meridian are two separate companies, just as well as Big Country Beef Jerky. But Lone Star taught me a lot. And I think learning how to treat certain people within this sphere, I'd like to think that I learned at the same time that Lone Star did how the disc golf world works, because I grew up at Lone Star. I mean, I was only able to bag, I was a big trilogy guy for a long time being 6 months to a year before I started working at Lone Star. So as they were growing as a company, so was I as a player. So it's pretty cool to see the growth on both sides. I mean, I have nothing but love for the brand. Obviously, I was a part of it for a very long time. And so definitely a lot of life lessons to learn along the way, for sure.
Being so new to disc golf and then jumping into becoming such a big part of a newer company, do you think being new to disc golf gave you an advantage or disadvantage, or walk me through that?
Well, first of all, I had a huge opportunity to learn from the people before me. I grew up with only older brothers until my little brother came along. And so I always learned from their mistakes, from their positives, how to go about doing things. And I think coming into this as a new player and learning the history of other companies and where maybe they've failed, or learning their strengths, really helped me kind of step up to the plate and go, okay, how can I attempt to create something that I believe in, that I can have other people believe in too, and that at the end of the day, I feel good about when I go to bed every night. And that was the driving factor for me. And I think that growing into the sport as a player, while also marketing to it, helped me a lot, because I never learned the wrong way to do things. They say that a lot in education, where if you're taught the right way the first time, then you don't have anything to go back on. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect, because everybody knows there's no such thing as a perfect person. But I'd like to think that the people along the way that I met and the friendships I created are what helped me grow as not only a person, but as somebody within the marketing world of disc golf.
Yeah, I like that. That kind of sort of reminds me how you said that you didn't learn you'd have to unlearn bad habits or anything. I don't want to say being in disc golf makes you have bad habits, but it reminds me of back in the Marine Corps when we went to training on the M16, and the drill instructors actually said the people that do worse are the ones that already know how to fire a rifle. It's the people that are just learning how to fire a rifle that typically do better, because they don't have to unlearn anything. They are learning from squared or ground zero. So yeah, that's interesting. All right, so let's jump into it. Let's spill the tea. Let's do this, Josh. Okay, so the big thing we have is from Cody. He's just going to jump right into it. He says, "Can you clarify the tweet about the threats toward you and your new endeavors?" Now, of course, he's talking about a tweet where you said, "There have been several threats directed at myself and others associated with me simply because we are branching out and trying to create a space within our community. This is one of the many reasons why I left the company that I poured my heart and soul into for several years." Literally right before we got on, me and Shane, I was like, let's take a look at his X or whatever it's called now, Twitter,
yeah.
And you literally posted an hour before we got on a screenshot of someone literally saying, let me see if I can find it. "Just so you all understand, if anybody on here wants to work with dropship at all, they will be taken off our team. They will not have any of our people on their page at all without coming to us first."
Okay. And let me give a little clarity. So I've been talking with Josh about Lone Star for about 2 years now, Josh. I think
2.5 years, yeah.
And the first time we talked, you were like head over heels about Lone Star. I mean, Lone Star was family, Lone Star, and it was that rocket ship that took off, and you were right there with it. So now we're to this. Help us find that transition. How did that happen? And, obviously address this tweet as well. Yes. I'd love to hear about this too.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing at the end of the day, and there's a reason why I didn't speak up for 4 months, right? After I left the company, it was a last minute decision by me. I'll start from the top, because I know we have a little bit of time, right? If you're going to listen, you're going to listen to the story. So
let's do it.
When it comes down to it, starting from the beginning with a company like Lone Star, I was doing every job starting off, right? I was social media, I was marketing, I was creating YouTube content, I'm helping set up new dealers, right? The Ranger team, I initially spearheaded that to try and get everybody on board. It was only supposed to be a community anywhere from 200 to 500 people. It was supposed to be really tight knit, and slowly over time, everything turned into a cash grab, and not in a way that you would think in a business sense, where it's like, how can we generate revenue? It's like, how can we squeeze out every dollar right now because I need the money, versus marketing things the proper way, taking the proper time to make sure that everyone feels appreciated and not like a number, right? We heard that a lot from a lot of players when they wanted to come play for us on the pro side, where they go, "Hey, I'm with X company and I'm just a number to them." And I go, "Man, that sucks." Like, really trying to feel where they were coming from in that. And as we know, disc golf as a sport right now is kind of steadying. I won't say it's not rocket shipping anymore like it used to, but it's kind of slowing down to the point where we're really having to think about how much we're paying players, how much we're putting into events. And so, yeah, to go back to the tweet, I didn't want to say anything for the past 4 months. I said, you know what? I'm going to make a decision. I can't work for this company anymore. There's too many things that are going the wrong direction. My title is just a title. I don't get to make any marketing decisions. And the company is worse off for it. And if my face is attached to that, I can't stand here because it's defining my character, right? And I have to stand up and I have to make a stand for these pros who are being mistreated, for the employees that are being mistreated, and just go out on my own. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm just going to stay quiet. As long as they don't come after me or my, personal things, right, then I'm not going to have a problem. And for 4 months, it was great. I was still selling my leftover stock that I had here, promoting it to people. Hey, you know what? I've got this. It's super rare. You should try it. Obviously, their glow stuff is amazing. I've always loved their glow plastic. And then I started getting screenshots after we had posted a video on Dropship Disc Golf about Fun Fridays, because it turns out all the people that were a part of the Fun Friday series no longer work for the company. So we just wanted to get together and shoot a video. We make one comment about Fun Fridays not being around anymore, and I'm getting screenshots sent to me from the higher ups, basically saying, if anybody on this team wants to be associated with Dropship, they can go somewhere else. I received messages that were saying that there were certain people within the organization that were threatening to beat me up the next time they saw me. I know this camera doesn't really do me justice, but okay, sure, right. But it's one of those things where, as a man, as somebody who has character, I said I can't let this slide anymore when personal attacks are being dished out, when players that I'm currently sponsoring are being told by that manufacturer they can't be friends or ride around in vehicles with other sponsored players because they're associated with me. That to me hurts, right? Because I just go, well, I've never done anything personal. I left. I tried to leave with grace. And at the end of the day, they didn't like that or didn't like the outcome that's happening from it. And so I felt it was honestly a moment of weakness. I was sitting there eating Mexican food with my family, and I said, I'm done. Like, how much patience can one person have before you go, okay, well, where can I share this? Twitter seems like a really good place to just vent. And so I hopped on Twitter and I tried to type up something eloquent. And, while I'm sitting there trying to eat some guacamole with my family, and it just kind of all spilled out of me, where it's just like, all right, okay, here's proof. And then, for people to be like, I hate playing the victim. I'm not that guy. I don't like taking a stance. I'm truly one of those people that says, hey, you know what? More power to everybody out there. Do your own thing. I'm going to be over here doing mine. But finally, I just snapped. I said, how much is enough when I'm being me and people around me that I respect, that I take responsibility for, as a business owner, as a friend, as a role model. How much can I stand for before I let the bullies, right, come after me or my friends? And unfortunately, it boiled down to that.
Yeah, so because some of the questions actually have that in their question, was it just feels like this is just a smear campaign to promote Meridian Discs. In other words, I'm just going to use this as like a publicity stunt type thing to talk bad about my former company so that I can promote my new company. But it sounds like it's it sucks. And I would imagine you as a marketer and as a brand person would understand that, would know that could be some of the backlash. And to me, that just shows how frustrated you are, to where you got to the point where you're like, I just can't take this anymore. And yeah, that's interesting.
It's like playground tactics is what it is.
I mean, that's kind of where I'm at, where, I don't mind, I'm all for it. And I tell people this all the time. I've had how many Ranger team members, because of course they're looking to me, the face of the company leaves, dad leaves for, milk and cigarettes and doesn't come back. They're looking at me going, hey, should I stay here or should I go? And I go, honestly, like if the plastic works for you and you love the team environment and what you're doing and you're okay with that, stay. Like, there's no reason to leave. Don't follow me. I left for personal reasons. Right. But if the brand works for you, stay with the brand. I even told Terry this. What a lot of people don't know is Terry had pulled me outside a month before I had made this decision. And he says, hey, man, I've noticed that, things haven't been really going your way. And we're doing a lot of things that, you don't necessarily agree with. And I can't have a guy here that's not passionate about this brand. And I remember looking at the Lone Star logo at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m, whenever I got there, looking at the logo that's lit up, and I'm like almost coming to tears because I'm like, I love this company. I love everything about Lone Star. I mean, it was waking up every day and being passionate about it. It was everything, right? Traveled all over the continental United States doing it. And for somebody to tell me that I'm not passionate about it was kind of like a knife in my heart. I mean, Bobby, I can only assume again, for those of you that don't know, I'm a huge Bobby Brown fan. I followed Bobby back to his DD days. That's what brought me into this world was him. And so I can't imagine if somebody went to Bobby and said, you're not passionate about marketing anymore. You're not passionate about how we do things here. And so after a month of dealing with more of those issues, I just decided, hey, I can't be here anymore because it doesn't make sense. And for anybody to be shocked after pulling an employee or a marketer or anybody outside and basically try to strong arm them into leaving your company, to be shocked a month later when they leave is kind of ridiculous. I don't know. Only to back it up with threats and everything else. I'm just like, all right. So tough.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So how long total were you with the company?
I started part-time with them in, I think, June of 2021, or maybe it was August of 2021. I basically started a part-time creating YouTube content for them on a channel that I called Huck with Hofstra. And they liked the content enough that they brought me in full-time in October of 2021. So I had been with them for 2 years and a couple of months. And in that time, we did all of that. So
was it something that kind of built over time and you just kind of either, for lack of a better term, looked the other way or just kind of went with the flow, that where you started seeing some bad practices, business practices, or did something like happen and you're just like, okay, this is not good. And then everything else started falling into place for you to take an exit?
Right. I think it really boils down to I was hired for a job and I did the job well, and that was never appreciated. And the funniest thing that I think is that everyone has the perception that everything that I did or everything that Lone Star did was my idea. The Run Ricky Run video wasn't my idea. The Lucky Shots video wasn't my idea. Not marketing the dog thing correctly wasn't my idea. We had kind of spun that into a positive. Hey, look, join the Ranger team. You bring your best friend, man's best friend. He could join too. Like that was a huge positive. And we were told immediately the next day to take it down. So you go, how many good ideas or how many times can I save this company from dropping the ball or try to say, hey, I really don't like that Run Ricky Run song because it sounds like we're going after Ricky Wysocki, to be told, well, maybe we are. And I go, great. Fantastic. Yeah, love that for us.
You're ready for that.
Yeah. And so I feel like over time, the first year that I was there, they really let me kind of lean into a lot of their marketing. And that's where we saw the biggest amount of growth. We gained, I think, 12,000 followers within the first year. And we went from making like $100,000 a month to like $300,000 a month. Because we're marketing to people. I am the worst salesman in the world. I'll tell you that. I couldn't sell you anything, but if I'm passionate about it, boy, I just get excited, right? I'm like a golden retriever in traffic. I'll get hit by a car, get back up and look for the next one. And so people clung to that passion and they said, hey, Josh is passionate about this. I want to be like Josh. This dude's super positive all the time. And that's kind of just how I was raised and how I do things. You need to have passion in your life or else there'll be no joy. And if you have no joy, then you're going to be sad. So I think over time that the decisions just started not going my way, where I would have to fight and say, hey, I really don't, I just got to say, man, I really don't like the way this is going. And then it would be, well, you're not on this side of the fence, so you don't get to make that decision. And that was, upper management. So I just said, okay, man, like I'll offer ideas when you want them, but the next time that we get laughed at and I have to run a spin campaign to make it seem like we meant to do that way, or, there's a lot of stories that I don't talk about because at the end of the day, I don't want to see anybody fail. That's my thing. I would love to see everybody grow together. If Lone Star keeps growing, if Meridian grows, if Dropship grows, every company that I've talked to has said the same thing. And that is, we wish that everyone had the same mentality that you do. Meridian Discs is going to be an open bag company, and we're going to work with other manufacturers. That's the goal. I would love to have a tournament where AGL, Mint, Infinite, Doomsday, we're all sponsoring the Open at Austin, because then not only can we share in the profit margin, whatever that may be, but we can also share in building up the sport. If I've got 4 companies that can all donate for assets or, help with groundskeeping or whatever, doesn't that help everybody? So that's kind of where it all boils down to for me.
Let's jump back to the ideas. One of the ideas that I want to touch on, because me and Shane had a little bit of difference of opinion, was the Ranger team and the 800 sponsored Ranger team.
You mean the 2000 sponsored?
2000. I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, it got to 2000. It's probably okay. We'll start from the top, as we always do, and work our way to the bottom.
Okay.
The Ranger team
there we go.
started off as a community project of like-minded individuals. Hey, I play disc golf. You play disc golf. I would love to get into your bag, and you don't have to bag. You don't have to. It can be a mixed bag. At least if you have 4 of our molds in your bag, which allowed you to get a putter, a mid-range, and a fairway. That's not a big deal, right? Just one of each in your 30 disc bag. And we'll get you on the Ranger team. What we're going to do is get you a 40% discount or something. The first discounts, again, this is 3 years ago, so I'm trying to remember. But the first discounts is a great deal. 4 discs in my bag, and I can get in and get a discount with this up-and-coming company that these guys are making new molds every month, right? It was exciting. And then very quickly it turned into, well, tell them that it has to be an 80% bag and that they only get a 20% discount, and they don't get a shirt this year, and they don't get a hat this year. And then what we're going to do is, instead of releasing to our dealers first, we're going to release to the Ranger team first. And then if our dealers don't get the discs, they can just wait. Like, it turned into something, I felt like every good idea that I brought to the table, I'd be like, hey, here's a fresh baked loaf of bread, and everybody's going to love it. It's really good. I spent a lot of time on it. They're like, what if we put mushrooms and cheese and anchovies on top? And I go, well, it's already a good bread. You're going to like it, and they're going to like it too. And they go, but what if we, and so the Ranger team evolved into what it is today, which is still good in concept, right? If you love the plastic, go after it. I support that for Lone Star. If people love Lone Star's molds, I love their plastic. The glow feels amazing. It's super bright. A lot of the molds were really hard to replace when I went open bag. I love a lot of their discs, obviously, because not only was I there to help create them, but also I was a part of marketing them. So I know everything about them. But if on paper, getting a 20% discount, getting a shirt now, so a shirt, a 20% discount, access to the Ranger team Facebook page. If that doesn't spark your fancy, that's fine. You don't have to be a part of it, right? But for the initial Ranger team members that became founders team members in the future, right? I think there's 200 of them. That was the initial Ranger team, and it was glorious. There was so much good happening with that group of people before it turned into something that was what it is today.
Sounds typical, I hate to say corporate, but typical where they see a good thing and then they just want to pile it on, and they think they're making it sweeter, but they're actually making it sweeter for them, and they're not making it, a better product for the end user, which typically what can happen. Okay, so let's jump back into the questions. Let's see. Daniel says, I would love for him to clarify the part about Lone Star Discs trying to take the sport of disc golf, its players and its revenue stream, and control of it for their own selfish gain. While Lone Star Disc has increased its market share tenfold in the last 2 years, 0.4% to 4%, they aren't even the only manufacturer that seems to be thriving in Texas. Does Josh mean that went after him personally for trying to start his own thing, or does he mean they are scheming something nefarious behind the scenes that could shake up the bigger picture across the whole sport?
So I think you guys know. I think you guys know as well
you are
as
diabolical, Josh.
Yeah. Well, and it's the same thing. Lone Star's not the worst people on planet Earth, right? I've met worse people than the people at Lone Star Disc. And again, leaving there was tough for me. I loved the people that I worked with. And so it's funny that people are like, Lone Star's building nuclear bombs in their basement, and and you're like, no. It's just, we just had a disagreement. Like, two people parting ways. And so again, Reddit is a cesspool for this, where I made the mistake. Somebody sent me a link. They're like, oh man, don't go on Reddit. They're tearing you up. because a lot of people know me and I'd consider myself a good, decent human being. And so you go on Reddit and they're like, this guy's just looking to elevate himself. He's all about the drama. And I was like, homie, like I stayed quiet for 4 months as a guy who gets paid to talk for a living. You know how hard that is? Like, and so, yeah, there's no nefarious plan of them like, we're going to put cyanide pills in this guy's drink and that's going to topple that company. What I mean by that is I am out here as myself, right? You're welcome. We're in Dropship HQ right now. This is it. This is operation. You know, I've got piles of discs over here and a practice basket over there. This is where I operate from. What I'm talking about is they're specifically coming after me because they don't like the fact, as it seems, and this has been something in the past, me and the ownership have always had an issue, and that is certain people of ownership would come to me and say, it's going to be me and you, buddy, to the you know, we're going to move these roadblocks out of the way, and it's going to be me and you until the end of to the end of time. We're going to do it together. And I go, great. And then the next day I come in and they go, why are you so bad at your job? And I go, I thought yesterday we were doing things till the end of time. And all of that is a byproduct of just how things operate there. You know, it's a high stress, high active environment in any manufacturer. It's going to be that way once you get to a certain point, but theirs was exacerbated. And so the issue that I have is when I sponsor a player as a dropship, before Meridian was even a twinkle in my eye, when I sponsor a player and they go out on tour and nothing is said to them about who they're riding around with, their friends or anything, and then I get a phone call from the same player saying, hey, I was just told that I can't ride around in my friend's van this season because I'm sponsored by you specifically. And I can go open bag, but I just can't have dropship on my sleeve or Meridian Discs. And on top of that, this manufacturer doesn't care if I bag any of their discs as long as I just have their logo on my sleeve. That to me is a personal attack against not only me, but anything that my brands represent. Because no one else is getting it. And I think that's the part where I'm talking about controlling revenue streams. I'm just a guy, right? I've got a family. I'm doing things out of my house. Some people in the disc golf world like me. And so it's like to want more for myself and for this community where I can help build relationships, because that's what I'm good at, between players, manufacturers, courses, new business entities. That's what I'm all about. And anyone that's trying to get in my way is trying to get in the way of the sport. Long and short of it, because I have nothing but good intentions. And so it's hard for me to sit here and have so much support. And at the end of the day, someone is willing to try and get in my way and create a roadblock when I've done nothing but try to make my own way.
Yeah, I get it. All right. Now, this is something I was curious about as well. This is from Cody. He wants to know, our player departure, hooligan splitting, and you leaving, Josh, is this in any way connected?
They're all connected. And it all goes back to, again, people don't leave because the job sucks. How many times have you seen this on LinkedIn or on Facebook? Yeah. People don't leave because the job sucks. They leave because of how things are managed. And there came a time with Lone Star where I was doing a lot of the work. And I went to Terry and I said, Terry, I'm doing so much and I need your help. I need your help because I can do a lot and I can multitask. I got ADHD and a caffeine addiction and I can do it all, but I can't do this right now. And he said, cool, well, I'll get these 4 people to help you. And we hired these 4 people on. A couple of them were from my personal recommendations and we did really well. None of it was appreciated. None of it was reciprocated. And to fight for the players on a daily basis when no one else would have their back, to help manage expectations for the players when no one else was giving them expectations to follow, and to lead the charge when you know that things aren't going the way that they should go on a player level, on an employee level. I had to try and have so much stoicism on a daily basis of just, hey, I'm going to eat this. Let me be the bullet sponge and you guys just get behind me and we're going to make today a great day. And we're going to move on to the next day. Same thing with the players. The reason why you saw a lot of players leave is when they found out that I was upset, they chose to also take a stance because they knew that the only reason I was there still was for the players. I don't even know if I should talk about this story, but essentially there was a time when we were filming all of the scenes for the Lucky Shots video. And I'm managing 12 pros and their expectations and getting them up early. And I don't know if you know this, but most disc golf players don't like to get up early. It seems like the only people that can are the FPO lead cards because they get out there, right? They're just doing it every weekend. And so I'm managing expectations. I'm getting drinks for everybody. And I had forgotten to get one of the management owners, a drink from the gas station after getting 14 other drinks. Meanwhile, I'm managing everything that's going on, expectations, players, marketing. And I go, hey, man, sorry, I forgot to do that. It turns out that this player wanted your beverage and I had accidentally gotten her a coffee. So I went and got her that. And it turned into this huge ordeal where I was getting threatened to be fired. If I ever do that again, that's a sign of disrespect. I had 3 different phone calls in 50 minutes. And all the players are hearing this. And I go, guys, please don't let this be a reflection of how you view Lone Star. Like, just let me be the bullet sponge. Just let me take all the threats and all the, you're going to get fired if you do that again. And then I go to the other people in management. I go, hey, what the hell's going on? And they go, yeah, that's just how they get sometimes. And I'm like, that's not acceptable. Like, there was no disrespect. I wasn't purposely, snickering and not getting them a $2 beverage. So yeah, that's just kind of one instance of where the pros were watching me kind of take on that stoicism and take on that bullet sponge mentality of like, whatever is coming for y'all, I will take it first so that when I have to dish it out to you, you don't get spanked as hard as I did, because I value you as a player and I want you here so that we can move forward as a company.
Wow, that does sound like a hostile work environment. Definitely something I wouldn't want to be associated with as well. So
right.
Okay, well, so we've got the tea. You've spilt the tea. You let us know everything that happened with Lone Star Discs. And so, but now I want to kind of shift things to now what you have going on right now. And that's a drop ship. Oh, we got
something really important.
I need more tea.
Ian, he wants to know, Josh, this is probably the most pivotal question of the night. Is Ian wants to know, how many dogs do you plan on sponsoring for Meridian?
Ooh. So it's funny that you say this, because this is where, like, I earlier in the podcast I said I have ADHD and a caffeine addiction, which is great for marketing because you just come up with a bunch of ideas all the time. And shout out to Google Keep for being able to keep all of my notes in the same spot. If I didn't have Google Keep, which is a virtual sticky note, I would be lost because I don't write stuff down because I have terrible handwriting. I told Peyton, I said, it always makes me laugh because I always go, any company that I've worked for, any company that they want me to be the face of, when you're the face of a company, for those of you that don't know, you have to take on the role and the mantle that this is your company too. And you have to understand that the way that you portray yourself to other people is how that company wants to be portrayed. So when the dog thing happened, I was like, oh my gosh, we have a perfect opportunity here to like open this up. And like, everybody loves everybody loves it when you make fun of yourself, right? If you watch Ted Lasso, a lot of people have said that I'm kind of a Ted Lasso-esque character where I'll step into anywhere and I'm just this like ball of sunshine. I'm like, hey, look at me, isn't this funny? And that was a perfect moment for us to go, okay, the Ranger team thing, the Lucky Shots, the Run Ricky Run, let's take a dig at ourselves. Let's look inward here and have some self-reflection and go, the dog. Isn't this funny that we did this? Tell you what, let's get Otto on the team. Let's go ahead. We're going to do a whole Ranger team and we'll sponsor dogs too. We'll get them all a disc or something, right? Great opportunity there to spin it into a positive. And unfortunately, they went the opposite direction where it was like, if I find out who that guy is, I'm going to sue him for identity theft. And I was like, you can't do that. That's not how that works. But I told Peyton, I said with Meridian, I would love to have the opportunity, and I'm glad that we stepped forward doing this, to have the opportunity to make fun of yourself, to have the opportunity to have a dog disc golf team. How cool would that be? How many times do you guys see dogs out on the disc golf course? Again, this is ADHD brain, so these are half-baked ideas, but I'm going, man, like, if the opportunity ever comes up and that gets, if I somehow get attached to that, where they go, Josh Hofstra's the guy that did the dog thing, even though I wasn't even the one managing the team applications at the time, I'll run with it. I don't care. I'll do a dog team with Meridian. Like, how cool would that be if I can support people with with what they love? That's the whole goal of disc golf, right? So we'll see.
So with Meridian Discs, so tell us what's the goal, what's the vision for Meridian Discs?
Yeah, so with Meridian, I'll touch on dropship because that's actually what led to Meridian. Is I started dropship disc golf because I realized that the marketing side of things is what I enjoy doing. Like I've said earlier, Slick Daddy Cool Breeze, Bobby Brown was my muse for how I wanted to be in the disc golf world, because I've done this before in the automotive world, and if I can emulate Bobby's expertise, that's a huge win for me, right? Because I love Bobby, and I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there that love Bobby too. Now, I started dropship because I wanted.
His head's already pretty big, just so you know.
I know, yeah. Well, yeah. Our baldness helps make it look bigger too. So,
so did that come with the idolization? Was the shaving of the head as well?
Yeah, yes. I actually can grow a full head of hair. It's crazy. Yeah, no. So dropship disc golf, the goal was if we can find a way to give back to our community through media and marketing, which is what I'm good at. And Dom, who had previously been let go of Lone Star the same day that I decided to leave Lone Star, if I can work with him and we can work together, we can create something really special here. And so what the objective was, I have a whole stack of Doomsday discs over here, for example. They're the first people to reach out. What we do is we work with manufacturers. If the manufacturers send us plastic to review, what we then do is we do videos reviewing the plastic. It helps get their marketing out on their new molds or prior molds that they've had. Not only does it create content that links back to their website that creates SEO material, but it also helps market them for essentially free or the cost of discs. In turn, we donate a portion of the proceeds towards disc golf nonprofits like Edge Disc Golf, which Dom and I are now working with. So Dom and I are now doing the material / social media content in the future for Edge. So not only does the manufacturer look great because they've donated plastic to our channel, we are now giving the nonprofits a way to make money off of our channel while making money on the channel. Everyone looks like a hero, and Edge gets donations at the end of the day. And that led into Meridian. Well, hey, what if we started a disc golf manufacturer that catered to the other side of things, which is growing the sport? So not only am I feeding money via dropship into nonprofits, but now I can be Meridian Discs, make my own plastic, utilize that opportunity to go to other manufacturers and say, hey, we're making plastic too. You already know me from where I came from. Why don't we work together? I'll help you market your brand alongside mine. I want everyone to have an open bag. Me going open bag was one of the most freeing feelings that I've had. And I truly feel like pros at the end of the day are the only ones that can either run an open bag for a large sum of money or do a mixed bag because it just makes sense for some of them, right? Not everybody can be Calvin Heimberg, right? And so as Meridian, I want to work with companies. I'd love to work with Clash and do, hey, this month, let's do a stamp at the same time together and we can donate a portion of proceeds to this. Or, hey, for example, and I hate going back to this, but it's the only reference that I have. When I was at Lone Star, I started the Natural Tribute line, which was working with a local artist from Wimberley, Texas, who donates a portion of his art proceeds to these nonprofits that get kids outdoors in inner cities, of minority groups, and really tries to elevate all of that, including donating to state parks. And they really dropped the ball on that. They did one run and then they never did it again. And that's something that I'm passionate about, is the guys at the end of the day that are going out and trying to make something out of nothing, a nonprofit, right? If we can help support them in any way, that elevates everybody. If Edge can educate more kids, that's more kids in the sport. If there's more kids in the sport, there's more plastic going out. If there's more plastic going out, we can have bigger tournament. Like, the people that don't see that want to squander potential, those people don't belong in the sport, because everybody should be trying to grow the sport as a community. And that's why we started Meridian, is we feel like we've got so many connections with so many great people that we've met along the way. Why wouldn't we want to share that with everyone?
Nice. I love it. Now, is this the discs you have having being made? Is that with someone there in Texas, or are you sourcing it where from?
So we found out in our travels, obviously we know a bunch of different manufacturers, and we had meetings with several manufacturers that do a lot of manufacturing in the United States. And through talking with those manufacturers, we also found out that a majority of them actually get their discs made overseas. And through doing that, we reached out to a plastic injection company overseas, and they were like, yeah, we would love to bring you on. We love what you guys are trying to do. We met with them in person here on United States soil. Crazy. And it's funny because the perception of manufacturing overseas is always, it's the same thing as the nuclear bombs that other companies are building. You're like, it's not that deep, right? People think that it's sweatshop workers or, this and that. And it's like the guys at the manufacturing plant that we use, they're a plastic injection company. They all drive Teslas. Like the homeboy that sends us pictures of the discs, it's like a well-manicured facility. And I know what manufacturing in the United States looks like, guys. And it's nothing compared to what they've got over there. And so your big guys, MVP and Discraft have great facilities, but there's a lot of American manufacturers that just can't get the cost as low as they get it over there. I'd say 90 to 100% of most of your plastic material is sourced from overseas anyways. And so that's why we decided to go there. We said, hey, if we can help with margins, if we can help kind of break that stigma, have some transparency, which is one of our what's the word? Come on, Bobby, help me. Transparency is one of our
core value motto.
Core values. Thank you. So one of our core values is transparency. In golden rule, where you go, hey, I would love to be able to get some plastic at an affordable cost from a reliable source, right? Wouldn't you? Cool. Well, here's us being transparent. We're getting our stuff from overseas, and we want to show you guys that it's not as scary as you think it is, right? I too am one of those people that's like, if I can buy it in America, cool, I'm all for that. But at the end of the day, there's importing and exporting that's going on every day. And so if we can try to utilize that to help support other people the same way these big manufacturers are also doing it, why wouldn't we?
Yeah, that was always a battle at Dynamic Discs. People would try to put us down because we got our stuff from Sweden, and
how dare you?
Why can't you help America? I'm like, I'm living in America right now. You're helping me. You're helping the 50 employees have a job that are here living in the United States.
Do you understand how many taxes I pay?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That was
it's tax season.
Yeah,
I know.
That was a battle. So, well, that's exciting, Josh. I love that. I've always, and people, our listeners always know, I love that people are able to create a job or create a life for themselves in this sport that we all love, which is disc golf. So I think that's amazing. Now, you had mentioned in an email we had talked about, or we had gone back and forth, that you have actually 2 molds coming out this weekend. Tell us about those molds.
Exclusive. Yeah, this is the first that anybody's seen this. So this one is the Meridian Discs. You like that logo right there, Bobby? I designed that myself. It's pretty cool. So this is the Tundra. So this is a beadless, deep putter. Hey, that we're going to be releasing here this weekend at the Open at Austin. You guys can see a side profile there. I'll have those up on the website. But this thing is like super straight to overstable. Had a lot of big arm guys throw this thing, and it's got a ton of glide because of how deep it is, and it is very comfortable in the hand as a driving putter. So that's the first disc we're releasing. Everything that Meridian does from a branding aspect, you might have noticed that as a branding and marketing person, I was able to name certain molds, and some molds I maybe wasn't allowed to name. I'll let you guess which ones those were over there, not here. So this is going to be called the Tundra because Meridian, like the prime meridian, is the equator goes this way. Meridian, prime meridian goes that way. So the Tundra. So this is a different zone, and I believe that this is going to be in the granite plastic. So we have granite and quartz because those two plastics are the two harder metal or harder rock types. So we wanted those to be, you associate granite and that.
PDGA approved yet?
They absolutely are PDGA approved. Thank you so much for answering or for asking that, Shane. So we've got the Tundra and the Straight here. And the reason why we call this the Straight, STRAIT, like the Bering Strait, is this thing is like a super domey KC rock. and it just goes straight. You hyzer flip it to flat, it flies forever, whether you have a big arm. So I throw 425, 450, right? I'm a 6'4", 250 pound guy. I throw pretty far. But it doesn't matter if you have a noodle arm or if you have a Calvin Heimberg arm. This thing flips up to flat and just goes straight for forever. And it glides a long ways. So we've got that in the, these are all prototype blends. Obviously, like we don't have this metal flake out yet. But this is going to be, I believe, what quartz is going to look like. It's a little bit more see-through. So yeah, those are 2 approved molds. We have a 3rd mold that's on the way to getting approved. And then I have another 2 molds here that are prototypes. So we're not trying to set the world on fire. I just want to say that. I'm not trying to release a new mold every month. I want you to feel like you like the product. And if you like the product, you'll throw the product. And if you don't, that's cool. I care enough. Right? I can't say I don't care because I'd be like, oh man, you don't want to throw my discs. But I would love to see somebody have a Clash popcorn in their bag alongside Tundra. It just makes sense. I would love to see somebody throwing a Dynamic Disc Verdict alongside a Straight because they all complement each other. And each disc does something different. My bag over there is just a mixed hodgepodge of all the molds that I love throwing. Including Doomsday, including Clash, including all these other molds. So if it fits in your bag, awesome. We'd love to have your support. If not, cool. We're going to try and work with your favorite manufacturer anyway. So as long as everybody's happy at the end of the day and we can all work together towards promoting disc golf, that's a win for me.
Good stuff, Josh. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but that sounds super exciting. I love learning more about what was going on behind the scenes because I very much related to the passion for the brand. And, I would have people walk up to me and thinking I owned Dynamic Discs because I did
Right.
so much stuff in front of the camera.
And I would have to go, no, it's not me. It's somebody else.
Yeah. I get I love Dynamic Discs. I loved working there. I love being part of the growth. I love going from 5 employees to 65 employees. I love that process. So I get when all of a sudden things aren't going quite right. Now things were going okay for me. I left for personal reasons and family reasons and stuff, but I get the whole saying goodbye to that and having to make that choice to say goodbye to something that you loved and it became such part of your DNA that it's tough to have to say goodbye to that. So I totally can see that and understand where you're coming from as far as that part. But I'm glad that you stuck with disc golf because you caught the bug like all of us have caught the bug for disc golf.
Yeah.
And now you're taking what you've learned, you've taken what you know, and you're taking it and you're using it to grow a new company and something that's able to kind of put forth the positive. I love your energy. I love the positivity, and you're using something to be able to put that forth out into the disc golf world with Dropship and Meridian Discs. I think that's fantastic. I'm assuming that meridiandisc.com is a website where they can find out more about what's going on with you, or what are all the places where they can find out more about what you got going on?
Yeah, so I'd appreciate if you guys headed over to Facebook and Instagram and followed us at Meridian Discs. That'll be Meridian Discs, no space, on Instagram. And then obviously Dropship Disc Golf needs your support as well. So if you can follow us on YouTube, we're trying to keep Meridian off of YouTube for now until we can actually start generating content that we believe deserves to be on YouTube. Because frankly, I think there's a lot of disc golf content in there that you're just like, that was nice. And so until I have something of value, I don't want to present that to y'all. But meridiandiscs.com is coming. I have the website completely built out. I've just been waiting for the last players to make their announcements that they are going to be joining the team. And then you should see that dropping probably tomorrow afternoon. Very excited because, again, anything that I do that I want to promote or that I have my hand in, it's kind of like making a piece of art. Designing websites is a lot of fun for me because it's something that I get to do behind the scenes. That isn't necessarily me going, hey guys, Josh Hofstra here. And instead I can do something that allows me to have creative freedom. So yeah, meridiandiscs.com, and then head over to dropshipdiscgolf.com if you want to get your hands on some exclusive back-stamped Doomsday product that we've got. Sales of those discs are going to go to support Edge Disc Golf and all the awesome things that they're doing this year with the tour.
Thank you so much, Josh. Again, thank you for being on the show. I appreciate you sharing your story, being transparent with us, and letting us know what you got going on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Bobby. Thanks for all the kind words. And Shane, thanks for reaching out.
Absolutely. My pleasure.